Yay! Hi everyone, I think I'm live now. I had so much fun on yesterday's live stream, so thanks so much for everybody who joined yesterday. I feel like it was a great message, a great video. Thanks for all the energy that you guys brought onto the live stream. I love all of your comments and messages and stuff, so let's keep it going. I told you guys I would be on tomorrow, and tomorrow came, and I'm here, all right? So let's get into today's topic. I'm gonna wait for a few more people to come on, but just some announcements, and again, want to remind you guys that I'm now enrolling for my 90-day body transformation program, the Body of Your Dreams formula, until June 10th. I mentioned how I'm changing the way that I'm working. I'm not going to offer the same things all of the time. I'm going to do them based off of like inspiration and stuff. Of course, they're all going to revolve around general wellness and well being and health, but they're not always going to be a similar theme. So, right now, my main offer is my body transformation program. Body transformation doesn't just have to be limited to weight loss. You can want to build muscle, you can want to experience higher levels of energy, anything regarding your physical health that you want to change. That is what's covered in the body transformation program. How to work with me for that one, check out the link underneath my video on YouTube. All it is an application link. I'll send you an intake form from there and we'll see if we're a good fit. That's how it works. And if you're watching this on TikTok, that form is on my page as well. So yeah, that's just a reminder. That's my main offer right now. All right, and also a reminder behind why I even come on here and make these videos in the first place. If you are on my YouTube channel, you're probably already familiar with my work. Hi, YouTube. Thanks so much for joining today. Hi, TikTok. But the main message behind all of my videos and the reason that I come on here and I talk about all of these personal development and wellness style videos is because my mission, my personal mission, is to help people raise their self worth and help people raise their self esteem. I truly believe that low self worth is an epidemic that's like underlying all kinds of mental health issues, of course, but also keeping people in a place where they feel unfulfilled and like they could be doing more, but they don't know how to get there. Okay, low self-worth is what my content is trying to fight. Okay, I'm trying to help people build their self-esteem. That is the main message of all of my videos. So that's my purpose, just a reminder about why I make these videos. And yeah, if you're joining this on TikTok, I'm recording this on my YouTube channel if you can't stay for the whole live. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue doing that. I might just get on live and keep it on live and not upload it on my channel. So you want to make sure to join me in real time when I can do this because I don't have a schedule. I really just do it whenever I have time, but it's always fun. All right. So yeah, that's why we're talking about this today. Today's topic is going to be hi TikTok. Thanks so much for joining. Today I'm going to be talking about something controversial. No, I'm kidding. But on my YouTube channel, this video is called You Can't Afford Self-Pity. And the truth is that you can't afford self-pity. I'm going to be talking about why, okay? Again, another reason behind why I make these videos is because I believe that well-being should be available to everyone. We should all have access to the tools that can help our mindset. And then if you want to work with me coaching wise, that's just for people who want to take it to another level and need help integrating these changes into their life to see results. So my main offer right now is my body transformation program. And I'm really enjoying that process. And it's so cool because no two people have the same exact goals when it comes to upgrading their body and their physical health. So it's really been an interesting process for me. And it's also been kind of challenging, but I'm always up for the challenge. So thanks to everybody who is trusting me with their body transformation process right now. It's 12 weeks of one-on-ones. How it's going to work is I'm going to get through the topic, probably about like 10 to 15 minutes, and then I'm going to read through all of the comments. And yeah, I can't wait to hear your thoughts. So today's topic is that, we can't afford self-pity. We have to kind of fight against the tendency towards self-pity. I got really inspired by a comment that was left on my YouTube channel yesterday. And it was basically somebody asking about how to manage like pessimism and how to stop being pessimistic. This kind of inspired today's video. So thanks so much for your comment yesterday. And that's why I want to talk about it today. And another reminder that my Substack is now my membership space for my YouTube community, for my TikTok community. I upload almost daily on there all kinds of things about personal work, inner development. I upload personal diaries. So it's kind of like a live journal that you guys get to read with me in real time, as well as more intellectual concepts regarding observations that I'm making in daily life and also obviously in my health and life coaching practice. Okay. So check out my Substack if that sounds interesting to you. If you want something to read every day, that's going to be kind of like my inner work library for everybody who tunes into my videos. So my Substack is also linked underneath my page and it's going to be on my TikTok. When I upload my book, I'm going to put it on there first before anything else. So anybody who's on my Substack is going to get firsthand access to my upcoming book. All right. So today's topic is you can't afford self pity. You can't afford self pity. Who am I to talk on this topic? I'll tell you right now, okay? I have not always been the most positive thinker. And the reason why I'm so passionate about health and life coaching is because it's part of what helped me transform my life, because it helped me transform my mind. It helped me transform my thinking, and it put me and it kind of like changed my life. Like changing the way that I thought truly changed my life. And if you think about it, that's kind of something that's the main concept behind therapy, isn't it? To help you kind of change the way that you're thinking to improve the quality of your life. Not so different from health and life coaching, but it is one step above it because it's already assuming wellness for people that want to excel. That's what health and life coaching is for. Health and life coaching is a tool that you need to put the control over your health and your mind back into your own hands and not only experience feeling good overall, but actually excelling and like really living like, the best life possible. I hate to use the word best life or like, I don't love that. I'm going to find something else to say. But today's topic is that you can't afford self pity. So, what I want to say about this topic today, and again, it was inspired by a comment that got left on my YouTube yesterday about how can I stop feeling pessimistic? If you guys, pessimistic is like, negative thinking, habitual negative thinking. If you're watching this on my YouTube, then you would be like, huh? Because all of my videos are motivational, personal development, inner work style videos. You would think that I'm positive all the time. No, I had to train myself to be this way. I was not this way. And, you know, sometimes it's like a double-edged thing because while it's nice that people assume that I've always been this way and I've always had this kind of life, it's nice because it's like, wow, that just is a testament to how far I've come. But at the same time, it's like I wish I could just take people into the past and just show them everything I had to do to get here, because it's not like I woke up one day and I was like, I'm going to be happy. I just knocked down my water bottle. It's not like I just woke up one day and I was like, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to live the best life possible. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to have success. No, like I had to do so many things. It was years and years and years of personal development work, inner work, life coaching, changing the things that I consume, reading, like basically being obsessed with my own wellness and trying to get beyond that state of like, negative thinking. So that's why we're talking about this today. All right. So you can't afford self pity. What I wanted to say about this is that, again, this is like kind of an awareness thing where I want to raise awareness on the idea that your brain can be addicted to certain emotions. So, inspired by the comment I got yesterday about how to overcome pessimism, if you feel like pessimism is something that you struggle with, where you feel like, every day you're waking up and you have nothing to look forward to, or you're just generally unhappy, please understand that your brain can literally be addicted to emotions. This was my experience. This is the experience of many people that I've observed. But your brain can literally be addicted to sadness. It can be addicted to feeling depressed. It can be addicted to feeling low energy. It can be addicted to having all kinds of low level feelings. Hi, TikTok. Thanks for the likes. I'm going to go through all of the comments after I get through the topic just so I can stay on track, but I'm going to get to them at the end. So thanks for joining. All right. So, yeah, just want to say your brain, it's not just you, okay? These habits can literally become a form of addiction. The way that you think can become a form of addiction. Your feelings can become a form of addiction. I'm going to kind of touch on how to break through that, resistance of wanting to change the way that you think, but not necessarily knowing how. But my main message, you can't afford self pity. You cannot afford to just sit down and take it. You really do have to do things to combat these habitual patterns. That's part of what I do as a life coach. Okay. So, regarding pessimism, You can be addicted to negative thinking. What is pessimism? Pessimism is literally, assuming the worst, assuming that things aren't going to work out. Those kinds of thoughts, that kind of thinking, those kind of words that you speak over your life can become a self fulfilling prophecy. So it actually is a really important thing to address and start correcting right now if that's what you're experiencing. Okay. So the good news is that in a similar way, right, your brain can be addicted to sadness, depression, low level feelings. You guys let me know in the chat, in the comments, what kind of emotions your brain might be addicted to. Back in my prime of, seriously having serious issues that I had to work through. And, I'm always a work in progress, but I'm always going to come on here and share the things that I've learned so far. And then the more that I grow, I will obviously continue to share. But back when I used to really struggle with negative thinking and low self esteem, what was I addicted to? I was addicted to feeling low energy. I definitely had low energy. I was addicted to fear. Okay, fear is a very low level emotion. That was a big one for me. I had to do a lot of work around like navigating fear. And what else? I had, just general like low energy, like kind of like depressive. Like, and when I think back to the person that I was when I was combating all kinds of negative emotions and really trying to break through those patterns, I noticed that the way I think was so different. And not only that, but my life was so different. And honestly, guys, your life reflects the way that you think. That's why it's very important to address this right now. And any comments that resemble spam and are not related to the topic will get you removed from my page, unfortunately. So, yeah, your brain can be addicted to all kinds of emotions. And while it can be addicted to low level emotions like sadness, depression, fear, low self worth, low self confidence, the good news is that you can work on your mind and make it so that your mind habitually is addicted to positive emotions. I'm not lying, okay? It takes some time, it takes some conscious effort, but it is definitely possible. It is definitely possible. So, in the same way that you can be addicted to those negative feelings, you can make yourself addicted to feeling confident. You can make yourself addicted to feeling joyful, to feeling, fulfilled. You can rewire yourself to be addicted to positive emotions. And obviously that will break you out of habitual patterns of pessimism and negative thinking. So that is the main concept, right? That's what people mean when they talk about rewiring your brain. And the way a person thinks is what determines how their life is going to go. Literally, okay? That's why it's so important. You would think that it's like one or two things you have to do to get the result you want. No matter what your results are, the results you're looking for are. My main offer right now is my body transformation program. So I'm helping people get into better health, get into the figure that they desire. But no matter what kind of results you're looking for, the way that you think is literally if I were to give it a number, I would say it's about like, 89% of what's going to get you there is the way that you think. And if you think about it, the way that you think is what determines your life in the way that it determines literally what your income is going to be. People who like believe that they are capable of making a certain amount are more likely to get that amount. I've even heard that, when it comes to what's it called? Not the lottery, but like those random like sweepstakes, people who like enter the sweepstakes are obviously more likely to win the sweepstake because they believe that it's possible for them, you know what I mean? So that people who the way that you think will determine your income, the way that you think will determine your friends. And I'm sorry, but your friends and who you hang out with is going to determine how your life goes. And friends come in and out. Sometimes they're in our life only for a season, but when I think back to like all of these different phases of my life, I can see a clear relationship behind how my friends and my environment were impacting my life at that time, for the better or for the worse. And let's be real, a lot of the time it's for, sometimes they're, a distraction or something sometimes. So thanks for joining my live on YouTube, on TikTok today. Today we're talking about how why we can't afford self pity. Okay, and like I said, the way that you think is what determines how your life will go. It will determine your income. It will determine your friends, your circle, your environment, your health. Okay, that's my main offer, my body transformation 90-day formula, body of your dreams formula. We're focusing on our health right now. It's going to change come June 10th. So if you want to work with me for the next 90 days to transform your body, you have until June 10th to sign up. Okay. But the reason that your thinking impacts all of these different areas of your life is because why? We're tying it back to the main purpose of all of my videos, of my YouTube channel, of my TikTok, of my Substack, my books, because it's a self-worth issue. Okay? This is why. It is a self-worth issue. The way that you think determines how your life will go because it's tied to your self-worth. And your self-worth and what you think of yourself is everything. Okay? If you think you're not going to be anything, you're not going to be anything. If you think you're a boss, you're a boss. I don't care how long it takes. Okay? Honestly, we got to start training ourselves to be okay with being patient and letting things take the time that it takes, because I promise you, like, when those results start coming and the work starts paying off, you're going to stand out from a lot of people. And sometimes all it takes is patience and repetition, and sometimes making sacrifice in the form of maybe being bored and having to repeat these things to get results. But at the end of the day, all of the success in the world, the health in the world, the body of your dreams, even the deepest desires of your heart for how you want your life to go is going to be tied to your self-worth. If you're not seeing results in one area of your life, it could very easily be tied to deep programming and how you think about yourself on a deeper level, even beyond conscious awareness. Okay, so if you believe you are good enough, you will be more good enough. I put that in quotes, good enough. You'll be more likely to have success because you had the initiative in the first place. Okay, so literally everything is tied to your self-worth, to your self-concept, and what I refer to for the most part as your self-esteem. That's why the mission of my videos is to help people raise their self-esteem, because this is an epidemic. Okay, seriously, low self-worth is an epidemic. Okay, and I'm talking beyond insecurity. Low self-worth is what keeps you stuck, and it'll keep you in a I'll even go as far as to say, as like people who are in toxic relationships, you know it's so easy to point the finger, blame this person's a narcissist, he's an a-hole, whatever. But the people who have toxic relationships over a long period of time, guess what? It takes two people. You're choosing to stay there. So there is some kind of complex happening with your self-worth, friend, if you feel like you are in a toxic relationship. Okay, because sometimes, not all the time, obviously we have circumstances. This is general broad advice, not everything will apply to you. Please use your own critical thinking. Okay, along with patience, we have to start bringing back critical thinking, please. Okay, exercise the right to use your own mind. Okay, but everything is tied to self-worth. You're more likely to stay in a toxic relationship if you have self-worth. You're more likely to stay at a certain income level if you have low self-worth and you don't believe that you are going to be able to make more in the future. Okay, everything's tied to self-worth. And the way that you let people treat you is tied to your self-worth. The way that you treat your body is self-worth. How you look is a reflection of your self-worth. Where you live, everything. So if you believe you are quote unquote good enough, if you have high levels of self-worth, you'll be more likely to have success because you had the initiative in the first place. And my whole thing is that your thinking will determine everything. And that's why I say you can't afford self-pity, because that is like the most common thing I see among people who have the tendency to self-sabotage. We all do, but when it becomes a way of life where you are like constantly experiencing self-sabotage and working against yourself, this is what really breaks my heart, because it's not the world, it's not the people around you, it's literally you. It's you getting in your own way. It's you stopping yourself. It's you stopping your own progress. And because my main offer right now is my body of your dreams formula, I'm helping people transform their body through 12 weeks of one-to-ones and coaching and all kinds of mental reframing, personalized planning that I cannot offer on YouTube or TikTok because it's really, a one-on-one basis. But because that's my main offer, a lot of my examples are always going to be tied back to health and wellness. And I'm seeing all of your comments. I'm going to look at them after I'm done. I'm almost wrapping this up here, but I just want to stay focused for people who are going to be watching the replay on my YouTube channel. Okay, So the whole thing is that, how you think is going to determine how your life goes. And because it's so important, that's why you always have to protect your mind. Okay. You really do have to learn how to protect your mind. And part of creating a high self worth is learning to have a strong mind. You want to talk about blocking people on the internet, on social media that you don't like? Listen to me. I had to block people IRL. I had to block people in real life. I had to ignore people to their face when they were saying something that went against what I thought I was capable of doing. Because why? People, and it's no hate, it's no shame. This is just, again, mental, having that mental stamina, that mental strength, being able to, hold that kind of energy and space for yourself. That's why I personally benefited so much from mentorship and coaching, because my environment that I came from did not affirm to me that I was going to be successful. You know what I mean? That I was going to be the person that, I'm still always trying to, like, become better, but I had to seek out resources and stuff. I had to seek out people that were going to help me kind of become mentally stronger. So the way that you can protect your mind is by obviously watching who you're friends with. I have a lot of videos on my channel about. Hold on. I said I was gonna look at comments after, but I'm gonna block you because that was rude, and I saw that. Don't be rude. Thank you. Back to the topic, right? So, learning how to protect our mind, right? Obviously, I have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel about watching who you're hanging out with, what environments you're, in, because that's really going to impact not only how your life goes, but how you think. And at the end of the day, when you go home, who are you with? You're with yourself, right? So you want to make sure that you're being nice to yourself, that you're being kind to yourself, because you can't run away from you. You know what I'm saying? So managing your thoughts, and obviously your mental health is going to be huge in creating the life that you want. How else can you protect your mind besides having, some consideration and intentionality behind who your friends are? And I'm not somebody who's like, advocating for always being in isolation, but I do believe that there are going to be times that we do have to be isolated, especially when you're trying to make a major change in your life. Sometimes it happens faster when you are alone because you don't have anybody kind of projecting their fears and whatever onto you about what you can and cannot do. I promise if I listened to people, like, I wouldn't see what I have right now. And I wouldn't even be in the same neighborhood, the same house. I probably wouldn't look this way. Like, I had to learn how to ignore people. I'm not going to lie. So that's part of, becoming mentally strong. What you consume is also going to be a part of how you can protect your mind. Okay. So, like, right now, um, what I'm mainly focusing on is obviously growing my channels and growing my practice, right, as a life and health coach. I had to change what I consume by spending less time just consuming things that literally don't matter, like celebrity culture. This is my personal opinion. You guys can take or leave it, but I just feel like it's such a waste of time to always be in, like, on the latest gossip about, like, celebrities and stuff. And I love TikTok. I love, like, the reach, and I love talking to you guys on live and stuff. But I used to really enjoy scrolling on my For You page and stuff. But then I started realizing that I was spending so much time looking at things that don't matter to me, and like, it doesn't matter, like gossip and celebrities and stuff. Like, who cares actually? And also, I even feel that way about Instagram. Like, I'll get on for like 1 minute, and then I'm like, honestly, I need to be doing something else with my life. Like, get your life. You know what I'm saying? So, what you consume is how you're going to protect your mind. Obviously, books are a good way of bettering what you're consuming because you have some intentionality behind it. But even if you're going to spend time online, being a little bit more careful about what you're consuming is a good way to protect your mind. Obviously, okay, this is next. What you observe, what you're choosing to observe is going to help you protect your mind, because what you put your attention on is going to impact how you think, how you view the world, and how you view the world is literally everything. So, again, going back to the comment that I was really inspired by yesterday on my YouTube stream, I think the video, what was yesterday's video? It wasn't about burnt out, it was something else, but somebody left a comment on that video about how can I be less pessimistic. So, going back to that, part of overcoming pessimism and negative thinking, which is basically a pattern of always assuming the worst, is learning to observe something different. So we have to learn to change the things that we are observing and learn to focus on other things. Learn to focus on the things that are going to affirm that, this is possible for us. So when I didn't have any examples of like, whatever my goal was at the time, I had to change my focus onto the people. Even if I didn't know them in real life, I had to focus on people who had the results I was looking for. Okay, especially navigating career and stuff and going from like just changing the way that I work. And I had to observe people on a similar career path and what they did. Okay, so sometimes you just have to be more intentional about what you're observing consistently to overcome patterns of pessimism and stuff. So I feel like this really applies to neighborhoods and environments, especially because you have to shift your focus, especially if you're trying to make a change in your lifestyle to the lifestyle that you actually really want and maybe where you want to live in the future. It's all about changing what you're focused on, changing what you put your attention on, okay? And if you're naturally pessimistic, if you have a habit of being pessimistic often, my question for you is what are you taking in? What are you consuming? Because personally, for me, if I'm experiencing feelings of pessimism and stuff, I notice that when that happens for me, is that I'm observing the past a lot. So anytime that I get into a state where I'm having negative thoughts, where I'm not feeling good, I notice that my mind is thinking about the past. And that's what kind of comes on first before I start getting into states of self sabotage, self pity, which is what today's video is on, right? The fact that you can't afford to be in self pity. But when that happens for me, when I've fallen into that, it's because I'm thinking too much about the past. And this is a perfect example of how your mind plays tricks and plays games with you, okay? By taking you out of the present moment and by making you focus on what went wrong in the past. Obviously, that's going to take away from your day to day life if your mind is like in a year ago, 2 years ago, on the things that didn't work out. Because what's going to happen is you're going to start bringing those feelings and those similar feelings from the past into your present day. And before you know it, you just start experiencing things that bring on a similar feeling. So I had to have the awareness, to pick up on that. But making it takes you out of the present moment, right? When you think too much about the past. And I feel like that's a great way to break the pessimism habit is to stop thinking about the past so much because you need to start becoming more focused and more obsessed with what your future is going to look like the things that you actually want. That's part of shifting your attention. So you bring that energy into today. When you start thinking about the past, and you focus on those negative feelings that you've experienced before, you start to bring that energy into the present day and you're literally more likely to experience things that will create this similar feeling. And we don't want that, right? So when I've experienced feelings of pessimism and negative feelings, what I've had to do, a part of that process, it's not just one thing. It's just that part of it was that I had to change my focus. I had to change the things that I was observing. I had to change the things that I was focused on. What this looks like for me, personally, not everybody is going to agree, and that's totally fine. I'm just sharing what works for me. Less phone time because I do find that the more time I spend on my phone, I just feel like it impacts my mood somehow. And also, what helps me get out of that state of pessimism and negative feelings is allowing myself more time to be creative because I'm a creative person. I'm an artist. That's when I feel my best, right? So I have to make more time for that. And intentionality is everything. So stopping my okay, this was actually I might do another video about this because this is something that I recently came out of, and I'm not gonna lie, like ever since I got rid of this negative stronghold on my life, I'm on fire. Okay, like I'm feeling amazing. So, like I was saying, pessimism, right? Part of pessimism is basically habitual negative thinking. You have to realize what your unique triggers are. For me, what happened before I would get into a state of pessimism, self pity, self sabotage was that I was thinking about the past. It's like as soon as I started thinking about the past and things that went wrong and relationships, people, situations that, maybe weren't the best, that's like the first thing that would happen. And then, that would carry on into the rest of my day and just put me in a bad mood. You know what I'm saying? So, what I had to do to stop that habit, because actually I was experiencing that until recently, was right when those first initial negative thoughts come on And it would always be the same thing. Like it would be more or less the same two or three situations that I would think of, and I would be like, oh, like, it would just make me mad all over again. Meanwhile, it's over, right? This is a mental trick that happens. The situation is over, but you start thinking about it before you know it. You start feeling those feelings again. You start feeling that frustration. You start feeling that sadness, that anger, whatever it might be for you. And, then your day spirals from then on. So, what I had to do when that first initial feeling came on of remembering that situation, of remembering anything from the past that made me upset, when I felt that come on, once I noticed that that is what was happening, I had to stop it right there, right there. Maybe, I would go from in the past, thinking about the situation for so long, like honestly, like even like an hour, and then my whole entire day would be ruined because I'm thinking about that. Irrelevant, right? Irrelevant. So now what would happen? I would notice it come on. Maybe I would think about it for 5, 10 minutes, and then I'd be like, wait a minute, no, this is not happening right now. Just saying no, affirming to yourself that's over. This is today. Those people and situations are behind me. Today's a new day. That's part of speaking life over yourself, right? So I had to stop it right away. Not only did I have to stop it when it came up mentally, that was on me on my own time in my personal time, even on TikTok, even online, anything that came up that reminded me of that situation, bye. That's not happening today. Not today, Satan. Okay. I'll be on my For You page. And one of the situations that would come up repeatedly and put me in that negative state was, my past breakup, right? So why on my For You page, there's so much dating content. I don't even care, but it just pops up. And what happens when I take in that kind of content is that it reminds me of my past relationship. So obviously that's going to trigger me. It's going to put me back into that thinking of whatever went wrong in the past, right? So as soon as those videos popped up, you know what I did? Log off, log off. Okay, that's not happening. I'm not that person anymore. Affirm over yourself, speak life over yourself. These people, these situations are behind me. As soon as it comes on, as soon as it comes on, right away, you got to stop that. Okay, and it's hard. It's not like it's easy. It is hard to change it because it's a habit. It's something that now is ingrained that you're going to have to overcome. But guess what? You have to ask yourself if it's worth the cost of all of this time lost that you could be using to do other things. Okay? Is it really worth that mental turmoil, that mental energy that you could be using to better your life or at least enjoy it? Thinking about the past? F the past. You know what I'm saying? So right away when those negative feelings come on, you got to say bye bye. Bye bye. And the bigger message behind today's video is that obviously the way that you think impacts your life, but I feel like this is not talked about enough. Like this is the part of growth and creating the life that you want that's not talked about enough is the things that you have to let go and the mindsets that you have to let go, the way of thinking, the behaviors, even the internal things that nobody else can know or see besides yourself. Those are the hardest. That's like the hardest part to overcome in creating a new life for yourself. And the biggest way to create a new life for yourself, to create the results that you want, is creating a new mind. You're going to have to create a new mind. This head I have right now, like the way that I think right now, this is not who I was a few years ago. I had to train myself to think this way. And while it's really nice when people say things to me, even people close to me will be like, oh, wow, you're so positive. Like, I love how, everything you say is like very positive. I was not always like this. I had to train myself to be like this. I had to train myself to be, focus on the solution more than the problem. And the more that you're in that space of what is the solution to this, putting yourself in what they call solution consciousness, the more that you're thinking about that instead of what's going wrong, that's how you're going to make changes. Okay. And that's why people come to me with coaching and stuff, because they know I'm going to get them the results, because I'm holding that space for what their ideal version of themselves, the version of themselves that already has those results, what that looks like. Okay. That's the role of a coach. So let me know if that makes sense. Let me know any comments that you have on today's topic, and I'm going to go through them in a second. But the other thing I want to leave you guys with about how your mind can literally impact your life is that, first of all, again, about upgrading your self worth, upgrading your self esteem, part of that, and this is hard, it's not easy, is that you're going to have to learn. And I don't know, guys, there's probably so much to say about this that I'm not going to be able to address because I'm just going to share what I know. But I do know part of what helps you upgrade your mindset is literally, like I mentioned earlier, learning to unfortunately sometimes ignore people for a short period of time, or at least their feedback, because you're the only person that can know if you're capable of doing something or not. I have so many examples of this from my personal life, and it's like, but once you get the results, once you actually get the thing, there is nothing anybody can say to you. What can anyone say to you now? You already have it, okay? And that happened to me so many times. It happened to me a lot when and this is no hate. This is just shared experience, things that I've learned, things that I've observed. I still love the people who I'm talking about, like it's just life. This is part of growth, right? And these are my observations. Is that when I one of the ways I saw this was when I wanted to move. The first time I moved, wait, was it the first time? No, it was like maybe the second time I moved. Every time I've moved, my life has completely changed because my environment has changed and it's been an upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. So that first step I took to upgrade my life by moving into a better neighborhood, when I was talking about this to people around me, my friends and stuff, almost, oh no, my TikTok logged me off. One second. I hope that I'm still on TikTok. Let me know if you can see me and hear me, because it logged me off because it put me past my time. But one of the things that happened when I was talking about wanting to move into a better neighborhood, especially, was when I would talk about it with my friends and stuff, automatically the first thing was, how are you going to afford that? You're never going to be able to afford that. How will you do that? You want to move there? How? So expensive. You're not going to be able to do that. How are you going to do that? You're silly. You should stay here. This is more affordable. Okay. I had to literally like block people IRL, block people in real life and be like, "No, like, I'm going to do this." And of course, it took sacrifice. I literally had to like do the most. I had to get a new career. I had to move back with family for a period of time. I had so much frustration around, finding a job, but I did it. Okay. And I had to ignore people who said I couldn't, basically. And then after that move, I moved again to a better neighborhood, which was like literally double what the other neighborhood was. Again, so much fear came up. How will you do it? You're not going to be able to afford it in that neighborhood. What are you talking about? This is what you do for a living. All of these affirming things of who I am right now, but I'm the person affirming to myself who I'm going to be, what I'm going to be making in the future. Like, no, who's going to tell you how much money you're going to be able to make? Like, you have to decide that for yourself, right? So, not being afraid of how other people look at you, not being so caring about what other people perceive is going to be a huge block that you have to like really train yourself to stop caring about when you're really trying to experience what I call rapid growth. Okay. I talked about rapid growth on my Substack. Check out my blog. It's basically my premium membership space for my YouTube community, for my TikTok community. It's going to get first access to my books, and it's also basically an inner work library because I upload on there every single day daily diaries and observations and health and life coaching, general wellness, and all kinds of like conceptual thinking around inner work. So definitely subscribe to my Substack if that speaks to you. And check out my Body of Your Dreams formula. That's my main offer right now, my body transformation program, 12 weeks of one-to-ones. And as you guys can tell from my live streams, it goes beyond just vanity. Obviously, it's not just about how you look, why somebody wants to transform their body. And it goes beyond just giving you a diet plan and a fitness routine to follow. It really is a lot of inner work that we're doing in those programs that I can't advise you on in these live streams because it's so personal. Okay, so definitely check out my 90 days of, sorry, I'm getting mixed up. My Body of Your Dreams formula is my 90-day program. Check that out. It's linked under my video on YouTube. It's linked on my page on TikTok. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you weren't able to watch the whole thing, it's going to be recorded on my YouTube. And I don't know how much longer I'm going to be recording these. I might just get on live and let you guys have it on live and not have it available for replay in the future. All right. So let me know any comments you guys have on the stream. I'm going to go through them right now. Let's see what you guys are saying. Okay. Said money. Hold on. Someone said money would build my self-esteem. Yeah, I definitely think that it builds confidence when you show yourself what you're capable of by building your income. So I agree with you on that. Someone said anime fan. No, I don't watch anime. Why you got so many necklace? I don't have a necklace on. I love these types of talks on these topics. Thanks for watching. I hope you can join our next one. Subscribe to my YouTube, to my TikTok, my Substack if you want to read about these topics and not just watch it on videos. Someone said, right, it takes time to reprogram your process of creating thoughts. Yes, that's literally the science of behavior change. That's what I'm so passionate about. Someone said, how are you? I'm doing good. Someone said, what's your take on love? What a question. Very general. I feel like I need a more specific question. But what's my take on love? Right now, this is my take that I think love is available to us all the time. It doesn't have to be limited to romantic relationships. And if you feel like you're in a place of like you're wishing for love, you can be relieved because you don't need to wish for love. Love is available to you everywhere. And guess what? If you feel like it's not being projected toward you, you always have the option of giving it out to people and then it's available to you. That's my take on love right now. Someone said, if you deserve it, go get it. Only you can determine if you're deserve it or not. Someone said, no, I can't. My brain is addicted to dopamine. So this was actually, that's very interesting that you said that because I just got off a call before this and we were talking about how part of behavior change is starting to link your dopamine to different things. So if you're, it sounds like you're saying that you're addicted to dopamine in a negative way. So maybe through, I don't know what it is for you, could be, from your phone, from eating, these negative sources of dopamine. What you have to do is train yourself to experience dopamine through positive things. Okay, so working out is a perfect example. So being addicted to dopamine isn't necessarily a bad thing. You're just going to have to change what kind of dopamine you're addicted to because you can get dopamine in healthy ways. These live streams give me dopamine. You know what I'm saying? And it helps my business. So you can make yourself addicted to um, positive dopamine. Okay, going through the rest of these comments. Facts. It also helps to be around good, positive people. Yeah, I'm like always talking about this because it's so true. And sometimes we don't have access to positive people around us. But guess what? There's always like sources of positivity that we can find. I had to do that so many times, seek things out on purpose to inspire me because I didn't have anything around me affirming that to me at the time. But the more that you do that, the more, you end up finding your people and stuff. And just gonna put this out here that we're gonna have different seasons. Sometimes our friends don't stay forever, and you're gonna have to find your people for the phase of life that you are in. Nara Smith dupe. I'm not a dupe. I'm, Renee. I'm my own person. There's one of me only, period. Someone said, I believe I'm capable of making $1 billion. You better go. Someone said, wow, you're so pretty. Thank you. Someone said, why is YouTube comments getting more attention? I go through the comments after because I have a tendency to get off track and lose my train of thought. So that's why sometimes it looks like I'm not focused, but I definitely come back to the comments. Someone said, you tell him, girl, thank you. She said, girl, does this guarantee men will finally approach me? We don't want to make that our main goal is the opposite sex approaching us. You always want to better yourself for you, okay, first. That's going to carry over into everything, including dating. Someone said, everything you're saying is true. I have turned my life around with positive thinking. Yes, positive. And it's beyond positive thinking. It's just like, behavior change and your habits. So it does change your life. Someone said, I'm ugly, but my mom thinks I'm cute. We're all ugly to somebody. Hey. Someone said, what's self-worth? Self-worth is the way that you think about yourself. Okay. Someone said, thanks. No problem. Thanks for joining today. Someone said, you're so well spoken. No verbal fillers. Thank you. I'm working on it. Someone said, yeah, Shorty's going places in life. We're all going places in life. If you're watching this live stream today, you are going places in life because you care about your life. Honestly, a lot of people, this is something that I've had to learn that I can't be around. I can't be around people who don't take their lives seriously. I can't be around that. I can't be around laziness. I can't be around people who don't take their lives seriously, their work seriously. I can't. Okay. But not with a man though. Girls who are smart have a harder time in relationships. Um, I try to avoid thinking so black and white. I feel like there's always like a possibility for what you want. So I don't necessarily think that's true. Someone said, remember me. Someone said, you don't know. Oh gosh, be nice in the comments. I do come back to them. Someone said, let's see. All right, well, this video is going to be on every day is a refresh, new opportunities. Yeah, every day is a new day. I like that song by Party Next Door, Another Day, because it's true. There's always another day, raining on my parade. So that's why we can't afford to think about the past. That's why today's video on YouTube is titled, You Can't Afford Self-Pity. Self-pity, a lot of the time, comes from thinking about the past too much. What are you doing right now? Okay? You can like alleviate that feeling by just putting more intentionality behind what you're doing right now. Someone said, how do I be myself without feeling like I'm being judged? A lot of the time when we think other people are judging us, it's because we're judging ourselves a lot. So probably that's the first step, is working on judging yourself a little bit less and being less critical of yourself, because then you're less likely to think that somebody else is being critical of you. Once you work on, not being so critical of yourself, then you can work yourself up to the point where you don't care what anybody thinks about you. Honestly, who cares? TBH. Someone said you are very wise. Thank you. Speak life. Yes, that's what we're doing on here. Someone said, you're so right. Praying always works. You're smart for noticing. Praying definitely is like my life hack, because some things can only be resolved spiritually. And, we better our lives, through these concepts, the mental inner work, physical things that we can do, but also your spiritual growth and your spiritual wellness solves problems that you cannot solve on the mental plane just through thinking and, knowledge alone. Some things can only be resolved spiritually. And if you're a spiritual person, you know that spiritual is more real than this day-to-day life. Someone said, beautiful. Thank you. Someone said, I appreciate your live. Thank you. I hope you join the next one. And I hope you check out my current offers, my body transformation program, and my premium Substack blog membership, because my books are going to go on there if y'all want to come with me on that next journey, that next phase. Someone said, what you said is beautiful. Thank you. Growth. Yes. Hey, from North Philly. Hey, North Philly. Someone said, Matthew 5:29-30. Pluck out of your life what causes you to stumble. Cut off the people who cause you to stumble. That's super wise. The Bible is like my favorite book of all time. So I love that you put that in here, because that definitely fits today's video. Hold on, I'm catching up. You're very beautiful. Thank you. Someone said, as a Black man, I don't even know what emotions are for real. Emotional wellness is part of your well-being, and only you can do that work for yourself. That's why we get on here and we talk about raising our self-esteem. Part of it is just becoming aware of where you can improve and then doing those things. So if you feel like you don't know what emotions are, then you have to just start becoming aware of how you can better your emotional wellness and your inner work and stuff. Someone said, thank you for being you. No problem. Someone said, God is good. He's great. Yes, he is. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. Let me see. All right. If you're commenting on YouTube, thanks for your comments and for your support. But if you have a question or a comment that's related to the topic, it would be a lot easier for me, because some of these comments look like spam and I don't know how to address them. So if you want to comment on my live stream on YouTube, please make sure it's related to the topic and I have no problem answering. Okay? But thanks for the support. All right, guys, I'm going to get off of here. Catch this entire video on my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my blog, Dream Styling by Renee. I'm going to upload my books on there. It's going to get firsthand access, live inner work. I upload on there basically daily, and it's kind of like my form of live journaling. I don't even journal anymore in my journal and my notebook. I journal on Substack. So keep up with my work on there. And check out my 90-day program, the Body of Your Dreams formula, for people who are looking for body transformation. That can look different. It doesn't necessarily have to be weight loss. Okay, it can be wanting to gain muscle. It can be wanting to experience higher levels of energy. Any way that you want to upgrade your body and your physical health, that's what we go into in that program. All right. So thanks so much for the gifts and thanks for joining me on this live. And thanks for your comments and stuff because your comments are what inspire the topics for the next videos so they don't go unnoticed. All right. I'm going to let you guys go. Bye. So can you do this emoji? There you go. I did it. All right. Bye, YouTube. And bye, TikTok. I hope you guys